Hey guys, Cameron Ramos here, and today I really want to conduct a series of interviews relating to what people think about pastors in an overall perspective, their general opinion, and ultimately whether they feel they could confidently go and talk with pastors relating to the certain problems that they may be facing within their life. And so we're just going to kick it over to the very first question I asked a series of 5 people, which was, what was your overall impression of pastors, priests, people in ministry, and etc.?
Well, my first impression is a powerful man of God that is teaching the Word of God so others may follow him. Not too sure about priests. I didn't grow up as Catholic or any religion like that.
My impression of pastors, priests, etc. is really that they deliver the word of the Lord, but the real word of the Lord is in the Bible. So then that's where you need to get your knowledge from.
Oh, my overall impression, I have so much respect for people who can do this full time and pour into others with, just that's where all of their energy is going, is into other people. And it really takes a special kind of person to be able to do this and do it well. I love pastors.
Okay, so keeping that all in mind, I later went on to ask the same group of 5 people, do they feel they genuinely could trust those pastors?
For to say the majority of people, us being a more predominant Christian country, I would say yes. The reason why is because you're believed to trust your local pastor of your church. I wouldn't say that's for everyone in the world. There are a lot of people who don't trust pastors and don't trust the church because maybe one pastor might have did something to mess up, and now all pastors must be the same. But I would say for the majority.
Sure. Pastors, men of God, women of God, they hold a certain authority, if you will. There's you see in the news all the time there's things that happen that aren't ideal for anybody. But yes, in general, I trust pastors.
I think it's a little split. Because I've seen a lot of people see like, oh, he's a pastor, and they start talking to them a little more about their deeper problems. So I think it's a lot easier for people to trust, but if they've been hurt by the church, it's harder for them to trust them, because sometimes people get a wrong, go to a wrong church, and they don't really get experience God and feel judged, and they get a wrong image of God, and so we'll take that on the pastors or the ministry staff.
I do believe that people should trust pastors because they are knowledgeable about Christ and they deliver a great message towards people, and they save people as well, morally, like delivering them, you could say, into Christ. But God does most of the work, so.
I think overall, if you don't trust your pastor, you should not be at that church. Trust is a huge component in any relationship, but especially a spiritual one, in a relationship that is so important to your life. You have to have trust.
All right, so keeping that in mind, that brings me to my third question, which I asked, which was, when facing a certain problem, do they honestly feel like they could trust a pastor, given the situation that they are currently facing?
Yes, I would. Because they are to be trusted, you can confide in a pastor, where just a normal person off the street, a friend or relative, you might not open up as much to, depending on what the situation is.
I feel like if I was facing a problem, I would tell a pastor, because they can pray over you, or even like a prayer partner, you could ask them. But he would morally suggest that you pray to God as well, because I feel like you can have a deeper connection if you just pray yourself towards him rather than someone else praying for you.
Me, personally, yes, because I feel like with my problems, I like to go to the Lord, and going to another leader or someone that you look up to that is a pastor, and I look up to a lot of people that are pastors. I feel like I can easily go and talk to them about it, and they're not going to judge me and accept me and just help me with my situation.
I mean, it depends on the nature of the problem. Like, if I'm broke and spending all my money on, or I guess it depends on where the problem is stemming from. Like, if it's an issue with my heart, then yeah, I would have no problem speaking to a pastor about it. But if it's something that maybe someone else is yelling at me, or someone else has a problem with me, like, I'm gonna deal with that myself.
I think it depends on my relationship with the pastor. I don't think it just has to be any pastor. I think it just has to be with the relationship of that pastor that I would have with them. If it's just someone that I really don't know, I probably won't even share in that secret anyways. But if it's a pastor that I've at least spent some time with, even if it's been for about 2 months of a good face-to-face, some type of conversation, yes.
Okay, so one of the final questions I really got to asking people was, what do they think were some overall great character traits for a pastor? Well, honestly, if I had to think about it, I would say honesty, but I was honestly surprised by some of the different answers that I had heard from these people.
They should, integrity. Basically, just holding true to the Word of God, as Jesus would have taught. They should do the same.
I believe a pastor should possess any type of traits, because every pastor deserves and is able to have their own qualities, because everyone's different. So I think a pastor should be different in any way possible.
Humor. I think pastors should be funny, able to laugh at life and themselves, and I think it's just an effective tool to convey emotions and convey a point. If people laugh, they're going to feel more comfortable around you, and we'll be able to intake whatever you're saying a little easier.
Okay, so the general consensus overall is that people do trust their pastors, and they do feel like they could go with them with their problems. Now, the problem is I can't exactly form a thesis or a general statement off of just 5 people, because we're talking about Visalia is currently a town of 100,000, and it's still growing. So keep that in mind. I think that it varies from person to person. I was genuinely shocked to find out that some people felt that they couldn't trust a pastor 100% with their problems, which is understandable. I mean, there's that general feeling of trust. You can't exactly go to it with just about anyone. It has to be with a certain group of people. It has to be people who are close to you. But it's important to have that sort of trust in people who are just connected to God, because ultimately we need that trust. So I hope you enjoyed these findings. I certainly was kind of shocked by some of the answers I got. That was cool. That was fun. It was very interesting to get people's opinions on what they felt about ministry overall and about the people who reside within ministry. So anyway, I guess I'll talk to you guys later.